Pastor B. Hey, everybody.
Hello, we're live.
Glad to have you with us today. And welcome back to Cafecito con Pastor Bill. And I have my Cafecito cup, but unfortunately, Vanya, look, it's empty.
Oh,
What do you do about this? So,
No cafecito?
but I still have the cup. So that does count for something.
That does count.
And I'm very happy to have you joining me today. I know people are familiar with you, that you've hosted this before, and you always help me from behind the scenes. But today's a different day, and actually, I did make an invitation to you because people may not know this, but you have been so helpful in helping with my book, The Upside Down Kingdom. And so I asked you if today you would help me because I've recently received some unsolicited comments that have all been about the impact of that book. And then I think I mentioned to you earlier that today I was invited to lead an introductory session for a group that's studying my book as well. So anyway, so thank you for being willing to do this.
Of course, I'm glad to be able to do this and join all of you. Hi, Mike. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us. And we have Raquel that's saying hello. So we have a bunch of people tuning in. So it's exciting. So today, actually, we're going to switch the roles a little bit. I know, Pastor Bill, you normally do the questions and all the asking. But today, if you allow me, I'm going to go ahead and ask you. Like, I want to know, and I want everybody else to know, why Upside Down Kingdom is so dear to your heart, why you wrote the book. So let's start and just tell us a little bit about what is Upside Down Kingdom.
Okay. And I'm excited about that, but I'm looking at these twinkle lights over my shoulder and thinking, oh my goodness, I turned the camera up on my computer just a little bit, and now you can see that's our Christmas tree that's decorated.
Oh, it's Christmas.
And so we're all set. So if y'all want to come over, then, oh, wait a minute. I guess we can't do that. I'm happy to have you in our home. Yeah, tell us a little bit about Upside Down Kingdom. This book is about the Beatitudes, and I was arrested by the words of Jesus years ago and started just settling in and parking there. Beatitude literally means blessing, and how do we live in the blessings of God? And this is how Jesus began his ministry, with these words: blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those that mourn. Blessed are the meek. And of all the things that you'd ever think might be blessing, usually we don't assign blessing to those kind of emotions, or those kind of experiences. But that's really what the book is about, is how to experience the blessing of God in life. And then it occurred to me that the first posture of God in the Bible toward humanity, at the climax of the creative process, he makes male and female, and he says these are image bearers of his. And then he blesses them. He gives them a commission to have dominion and help the earth produce and be good stewards of it. But then he blesses them. And then I thought, well, Jesus' first words in public ministry were also words of blessing. And how many times do we say, oh, God bless you, but what does that mean? So that's kind of what initiated the process. But once I got into it, it became so much more wonderfully deeper and wonderfully, what's the right word for that? Expansive, I guess, from the inside to the outside.
Well, Helen says that she has been enjoying your book, and I know that I have been enjoying the book too. Here it is. And it's a great book, and I love the perspective that, you bring into a Christian journey. But I want to know a little bit about you, like what inspired you to write the book?
Oh my, I think it was some of the challenging paradoxes of these teachings of Jesus, that these are not just like bumper sticker sayings to go in a coffee table book, that like, oh, what nice poetry. isn't that something to think about? But no, actually living it, going through experiences where I feel very impoverished in my spirit, like dry times, or sometimes when I'm just so eager to be fed. And, how blessed those that are hungry and thirsty for righteousness. And then the upper level leadership beatitudes of when you're persecuted and when people say lies about you and they want to hurt you. And yet Jesus says, be happy about this. It's like, wait a minute, because I want to obey Jesus with my life. I want to try to apply what he says. But when I've been injured or when I've been slandered or when I've had hard times come to my life, how do you find the blessing in that? So that's what personally initiated my deeper study.
Yeah, definitely the Bible talks about those kind of words, and meek and poor and hungry, and that doesn't sound like a blessing, but in all that, Christ is growing us. So why don't you share a little bit of, what does it look like and what does it mean to become Christ-like in that process?
Well, it doesn't mean that there's only one Jesus Christ, whose birthday we're about to celebrate, the unique Savior of the world, God incarnate, 100% God, 100% human. And so there's only one of those. He is one of a kind. That's literally what, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son. That means one of a kind. And yet, so what does it mean to become like Christ? Well, it doesn't mean to become sinless. It doesn't mean to become morally perfect, but it does mean to experience his redeeming grace and truth that heals and frees us. And so, in fact, Paul in Romans 8, verse 29, says that God's purpose, God's plan was that those of us who are trusting him be conformed to the image of his Son, that we be made like Jesus. So Jesus is the prototype, but then those of us who step into his redeeming grace start experiencing more of Christ on the inside of us, shows up on the outside of us, and then brings light and hope to the world just like he did. So that's a part of what that means.
That's great. And I feel like the Bible's jam-packed with such amazing sermons, amazing insight. Why the Beatitudes? What made you go to those 8 blessings?
Because they are among the very first words that Jesus spoke in inaugurating his ministry in the Gospel of Matthew. And because, like I said previously, God's first posture toward humanity in the book of Genesis was one of blessing, that God desires to bless. And what does that mean? Well, to show favor, to smile upon him. The blessing of the priesthood in the book of Numbers, where it says, may the Lord bless you and keep you and make his face to shine upon you. That means that he will show favor to you. And so how do we experience the favor of God in our lives? Especially, this is another why, but the first is, how do we get on the blessing? But the tail side of that same coin is when life is hard, when times are not always feeling so good. And who doesn't have times like that? We've been in them for the past 8 to 9 months together. So and you made this observation back when we were first starting to be able to distribute the book, is what a better time for us to consider the blessing of God in a hard time than right now. Feels like the whole world is upside down right now. So how could his kingdom enter into the upside down world and help us find blessing? That's the why.
And that's a great why. And you're right, like all our lives have been turned upside down. What we know as normal is changing. And I don't like calling it the new normal because I don't want it to stay that way.
Me either.
But, this is an unprecedented time and we're all going through it all over the world. How do you think this book can be relevant? Those who haven't read the book and those, that are thinking about it, why would you recommend it to them during these times?
Well, personally, I've lived it. And what it does for me is reframe my perspective. That God is at work, even when it looks like everything is coming undone. It feels like the sky might be falling. And so in my personal journey, that was behind it. But then I received some unsolicited insight from others who were experiencing something similar. So can I read you just one little piece of this? It was a letter that came in from a professional in private business who believed that he was financially set for life, and then said, when the pandemic struck, I lost everything. And I was blindsided like never before. I found myself in the worst financial situation I ever could have imagined. And so I won't drill down into it deeper than that, except to say, he says over here, since March, I have found myself growing closer to God than I've ever been, because he received a copy of my book as a gift. He said, reading your book helped everything make sense. It helped me understand how and why I've grown closer to God, even in the midst of losing everything. He said here, how to appreciate instead of mourn where I am. When I lost everything, I asked myself, quote, do you want to put your trust in Merrill Lynch or in God? And then he said, the answer was simple. Putting it into practice has not been so easy, but your book gave me confidence that my faith was well placed. I think that's what Jesus intended, that on the front end of his ministry, he was telling everybody, sometimes life is just going to be so depressing, but I will meet you in those moments and bless you in spite of all the crippling anxiety that can sometimes get its chokehold on us. So that's really the reason.
Well, I know that you have put your heart into this and your time, and so it has been a pleasure to be able to help in the process. So tell us a little bit, what is Pastor Bill working on? What's coming up in 2021?
Well, as you already know, but thanks for the question, we have a new book coming out. And this time frame has given me opportunity to finish a manuscript for maturists. Your mission from God, should you choose to accept it. And it's a companion volume to Upside Down Kingdom that was developed out of 2 message series that I brought this year that have now, not only does it provide a perspective for thinking from the inside out, but a framework now for behaving toward moving upward in this spiritual development process.
That's amazing. I just want to acknowledge this. Mike said, Christ's journey has given me light to raise up from my deepest thoughts of anger and pain and heartache. The Lord bless me, and this church has opened the pandemic. I've not missed a Sunday. So thank you for sharing that, Mike. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.
We're thankful that you get to be along in this journey. And I know that as we enter the season of Christmas, gifts seem a little bit odd this year. I don't know about you, but I'm like, what do I get someone where, I want to get something that is meaningful. So I've definitely thought about getting your book as a gift. And so as our gift to you guys watching, we want to give you a special code. And so, the code is Cafecito.
It pays to have Cafecito.
It does. So if you want to buy a book for a loved one, feel free to visit PastorBillWhite.com. And if you use the code Cafecito from now until, you have 24 hours. So you have 24 hours to get 20% off. And really, it's just a way for us to say thank you to you. Thank you for being a part of our journey. Thank you for joining along this endeavor. And I'm excited to see what Maturish is about. And there's a lot of people that are exciting. Mike says, yes. Raquel, by the way, I haven't seen you in a very long time, but sending you my hugs. Hope everything is well. And enjoy your cafecito, everyone. We hope to connect soon. Exciting things coming. Pastor Bill, you want to tell us in like 2 seconds what's coming in January?
Oh my, a new series on enlivening and igniting our internal worship, and it's called Forged by Fire. And so I'm very excited about it. I think you'll find it inspiring and strengthening for your personal walk with God.
Amen. All right, everyone, we are heading out. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy your cafecito and online too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.